If you've ever found yourself in the middle of something PhD related and you started thinking, am I even doing this right? You're not alone. Maybe you're doing your analysis and you're looking at your coding and you're thinking, is this even coding? Am I just making stuff up? Is this a theme? What is a theme? Maybe you're writing your literature review and you're wondering, is this okay? Have I been critical enough? Should I be writing more, writing less, writing differently? That constant nagging worry that you're getting it all wrong, that is something that all PhD students struggle with. So today, we are going to talk about it. We're going to look at where it comes from, what it does to us, and how to stop it derailing your progress. Because let me say this up front, there is no single right way to do a PhD. Just let that land. Take a deep breath. I'm Dr. Elizabeth Yardley, and I am here to help you finish your PhD one step at a time, just one. I've supported many PhD students over the last 20 years, and every single one of them has had multiple occasions where they've sat there thinking, am I doing this all wrong? Everyone else seems to get this, and I don't. Ugh. So let's walk through this together. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are not doing everything wrong. In fact, you're probably doing better than you think. So where does this fear of doing it wrong actually come from? Let's be honest, academia is not the most forgiving environment, is it? There's a lot of pressure to get things right, but the problem is nobody ever defines what right actually means. You're expected to be original, but you're also expected to follow the conventions and the traditions of your discipline. You're expected to be critical, but you're also expected to show respect for the existing literature. You're expected to plan your project meticulously, but you're also expected to be flexible and adaptable. So which is it? The answer is it's always a little bit of both. And that is what makes PhDs so hard, because they live in these grey areas. And on top of that, a lot of us come to PhDs with some habits that we've picked up from our earlier education. We're used to being marked and graded and given feedback. Like, good job, excellent, well done, first class, 90%. Or, this is wrong, expand on this, see me, or the dreaded, please visit the Study Skills Centre. That framework disappears when we arrive on Planet PhD, but our brain doesn't get the memo. So we're left chasing that desire to get things right, but with no real clear criteria for it. So what does this actually do to you? One of the things it can result in is overworking and overthinking. If you're afraid of getting it wrong, you might spend hours tweaking a paragraph or rewording a sentence like 12 times. Sound familiar? Then there's the avoidance and the procrastination. When your brain says to you, we might mess this up, your nervous system goes, okay, let's just not do it then. So you delay, you find other productive tasks. You clean the kitchen or do a mountain of laundry rather than writing your methodology chapter. Constant comparison is another one, and I'm not talking about the kind that goes with grounded theory. This is the one where you're scrolling through other people's conference selfies and Instagram stories, thinking to yourself, they've just got this all figured out. They are on their way. I am the only one who just doesn't have a clue what they're doing. Except that is not true, because those people on social media, they feel like they're winging it too. It can also result in just a loss of joy and a loss of creativity around your work. PhDs are supposed to be about discovery, about diving really deep into something you genuinely care about. But when you're constantly second guessing yourself, that excitement can very quickly drain away. You become so focused on getting it right that you forget to explore, and you're no longer following your curiosity. Get in the comments on this one. Are you experiencing any of those things that I've just talked about? Overthinking, procrastinating, comparing yourself to others? Have you just lost the spark when it comes to your research? I can promise you, you won't be alone, okay? So get typing. Let's take the shame away from this stuff because it is so normal, so normal. And whilst you're down there, if you can and if you want to support the channel, chuck a few pennies in our tip jar by clicking on this thanks button right here. Let's just reframe this whole thing. There is no universal checklist for doing your PhD right. There's no single formula as to how you get there. So instead of chasing what you think is right, how about aiming for these things instead? First up, clarity of purpose. Ask yourself, what is it that I'm trying to do here? Be as specific as possible. So rather than setting yourself a massive task of writing your entire literature review, break that down into manageable chunks. So for example, identify some initial themes. Write 1,000 draft words on this particular section. Spend a total of 2 hours reading today. Type up the notes I made on 3 of the things I read. Having this kind of clarity when it comes to your goals can be really, really helpful in enabling you to see the progress that you've actually made. You're not setting yourself up to fail here. You are clearly identifying things that can be done, things that can be ticked off a list. Consistency of logic is another one. Even if someone else would have approached what you're doing differently, can they follow the logic of your thinking? Can you explain why you've made the choices that you have in your research? Your examiner doesn't care if you used NVivo or Excel. They care about you choosing your tools deliberately and being thoughtful about them and being able to explain exactly why you've done what you've done. Be open to feedback too. The fastest way to get out of that am I doing it wrong dilemma is to actually ask someone. Talk to your supervisor, talk to a mentor, talk to a student who's a couple of years ahead of you. Or drop a comment on this video in terms of where you're at and what you're worried about. I read them all, I respond to them all, so if you want to put them down there in the comments, feel free to do so. And I think one of the things with PhD students is that very often they were top of their class at school, they were top of their class at undergraduate level, they were really high up when they did their master's level, they came out on top in terms of results and stuff. And we're so used to chasing that praise, chasing that positive feedback, that really short kind of feedback that says, yeah, excellent, no problem, well done, you're amazing. When it comes to a PhD, it's very, very different, and you have to completely reframe the way that you think about feedback. Feedback at PhD level is more detailed, and often it's more direct as well. When academics and lecturers and supervisors are dealing with PhD students, their tone is often quite different from when they're dealing with undergraduates or bachelor students. And sometimes that kind of feedback can really sting. But feedback is not failure, okay? It is fuel. It is going to help you grow. And it will help you stop spinning in circles in your own head. Try this exercise the next time the fear creeps in. Grab a notebook, a piece of paper, open a new document, and write a heading, what's working? Then list 3 things that you've done recently that are moving your PhD forward. It could be something like, I reread that article and actually understood most of it. I finally emailed my supervisor and booked a meeting. I rewrote a paragraph and now it's much clearer. And this list is something that you'll be able to pull out and look at when that voice in your head starts telling you that you're doing it all wrong, because you will be able to point to things that you've done, things that have moved you forward. Because the chances are you are doing way more stuff right than you think you're doing. What if you are actually doing something wrong? That is a perfectly reasonable question. Sometimes you will be going off track, but that is okay. That is part of research. You don't know everything yet. You're not supposed to. You've got to go down that dead-end street to discover that it's a dead-end street. And when you figure out that you're on the wrong track or something isn't working, you correct it, you put it right, you've learned from that, and that is progress. Nothing is ever really wasted in the PhD process. And whilst you're in it, whilst you've made a mess of something or you've had to start something all over again, it certainly doesn't feel like that. But with hindsight, you'll be able to look back on it and say, actually, I'm really glad that that thing happened. I'm really glad that that mess happened, because what I learned from it was really, really valuable. And now I know more than I did before. This fear that you're doing it wrong is just your brain trying to keep you safe. It's trying to stop you from doing the scary thing that is your PhD. Because that feels risky, that feels new, and it is your brain's job to keep you safe and keep you comfortable. But it's like that cringe thing that people say, growth happens outside of your comfort zone. It's okay to feel uncertain. It's okay to not have all the answers. You are doing hard, meaningful, and important work. You're showing up, you're learning, and that is what matters most. If any of this video resonated with you, there's another one popping up on your screen right now that I think you'll also enjoy. It is all about the curse of perfectionism. So go and check that out. I'll see you in there.